They did it. They finally did it. Tennessee beat Alabama this Saturday and broke Alabama's 15-game winning streak on the Vols. Last time the Vols beat Alabama was 2006. I was 6 years old, fresh off a week of kindergarten, the last time the Vols beat Bama, and they did it in amazing fashion. You seen the final score, you saw the celebration, you saw everything. 52-49, this was the best game of this season so far, and one of the best games in college football history. An Alabama team hasn't surrendered that many points since 1907. 125 years ago. That's how long it's been since Alabama has given up 52 points. And the Vols made it look easy. They did. Their offense was firing on all cylinders. Hendon Hooker, 5 touchdowns, over 350 yards, with 6 yards rushing. Jalin Hyatt, 6 catches, 207 yards, 5 touchdowns. His career totals before this season were a little bit over 400 yards receiving and a little bit over 5 touchdowns. And he almost surpassed that in a single game against Alabama. Good players rise to the occasion, and he rose. And the crazy thing is he's not even Tennessee's best wide receiver. They still have Cedric Tillman out, who's coming back shortly. UT Martin or Kentucky. Cedric's going to play that game, and those teams are going to have to decide, do we double-team Jalin Hyatt or do we double-team Cedric Tillman? Because you can't double-team them both. This offense is dangerous. And if fans and college football viewers across the country didn't think so before, they have to think so now. That was my biggest takeaway. That probably was everybody's biggest takeaway, was how this offense looked. But another big takeaway from this game was the way the Vols didn't give up. Now that might sound like a grade school answer, a middle school answer, but it's true. The amount of times that Bama made plays in this game that I said, oh, there that game goes. Bama's going to pull it out. They always do. It's Alabama. The amount of times that happened in this game and Tennessee dug their heels in, turned right around, and threw a right hook right back at Alabama was incredible. Bama scores a touchdown. Following drive, Hooker throws an interception, and you kind of start thinking to yourself, okay, maybe this game's over. Bama scores to tie the game up. Jabari small fumble, scoop and score by Dallas Turner. The tied up 7 with 7 minutes left in the quarter. I was thinking, okay, here Alabama goes with it. But no. Time and time again, the Vols dug their heels in and didn't let Alabama do what Alabama does best, and that's pull away with games. Against good teams, against bad teams. Alabama always figures out a way to win, and the script was flipped this weekend because Tennessee found out a way to win. Now, another thing that impressed me that won't jump off the stat sheet or won't be talked about as much about Jalin Hyatt or Hendon Hooker's performance or that knuckleball field goal kick to win the game was Tennessee's offensive line. They were incredible. Anybody in the country would argue that Alabama has one of the, if not the best front seven in college football, and they were almost useless on Saturday night. Almost useless. Will Anderson, one of the Heisman favorites coming into this year, 3 tackles, half a tackle for loss. Darnell Wright locked him up all game long. Henry To'o, useless. In his comeback game to Tennessee, all the attention's on him. Made some tackles, not a lot. 1 sack. That's all that Tennessee's offensive line gave up to the best front seven in college football. That's dangerous. That's proving that this offense doesn't really have a lot of weaknesses. And if you had to point one out, you'd maybe say running backs, but then you look at the box score and they rush for over 150 yards this game. This offense is good. This offense is dangerous. And this team is now starting to prove to people around the country that might not have believed them earlier that they deserve to be taken seriously. They do. Now they have a easy little game this week in UT Martin, which is probably great. Josh Pate said it 2 nights ago that this game that they play after this Alabama win might be an ugly game. Thank the Lord for Tennessee fans that it's against UT Martin because it'll be hard to lose that one. Then after that, Kentucky and Will Levis coming to town October 29th. that game is not an easy game. We just saw Kentucky beat a pretty good team in Mississippi State, a team that made some pretty good teams look pretty silly this year. And Kentucky's rolling. They're playing well. That is not going to be an easy game, especially because right after it, go to Athens, the Vols play the Georgia Bulldogs. This will be the SEC most anticipated game of the year. It will be. People thought it was Tennessee-Alabama. Tennessee won that. Oh, now it's going to be this game. In Athens, both teams likely undefeated. I won't say both teams will be undefeated, but both teams likely undefeated heading into that matchup. Basically, winner goes to the SEC championship. That's basically what they're playing for. Tennessee fans know it. Tennessee players know it. Georgia fans, Georgia players, they know it. It's going to be an electric game. Now, Georgia's pass defense, a little bit better than Alabama's. They rank in the top 10 in the country, giving up just a little over 163 yards a game in the passing game. Now, they haven't played a team like Tennessee, but we saw what they did against a team like Oregon. After the first week, everybody's like, oh, Oregon must be awful. Oregon hasn't lost since. Bo Nix, low-key been tearing people up since that game, and you saw what that Georgia defense did against Bo Nix. So, the Vols will have their work cut out for them against Georgia. They will. But when you have a quarterback like Hendon Hooker, when you have a leader like Hendon Hooker, I don't think it's ridiculous to think that you can win every single game you play.